What happens when we deep dive Chloe's mum Michelle? We find out about her businesses, her properties, and her aliases. And it's really not what you might think. Why was Anthony wearing makeup? And is Luke or the Gelfling victorious in the war of cringy crying? To answer this and many more questions, allow me to take us back to the beginning. Hello and welcome to Lawd Lukan. It's time to brace for impact as we crash land on another episode of 90 Day Fiance The Other Way. On today's show, we debunk the rumours about Michelle. Who wins the fake crying competition?
I don't want that either.
Is it all over for Matthew and Norman?
But, you know.
Anthony finds a new career path. And Manon is impressed.
What the?
All this and more right here on the Lawd Lukan channel.
You know, I'm glad we had this time alone without Chloe here.
Yeah.
You know, as I'm leaving tomorrow.
Ahoy hoy, salute and maido to you. Big loves to those who've subscribed, you beautiful people. And a slice of A5 Kagoshima Wagyu for the lords and the ladies of the Lukan Manor. Personality, mon petit pois, is always a subjective thing. Some people have one, some people don't. Some people fake it, and some people have a whole bunch of personalities. And some get told what their personalities are up to this week and have to facilitate a conversation based on it. But personality isn't the same as attitude. As Frank Ocean once said, my personality is who I am, my attitude depends on who you are. So, our first stop in this video is with attitude and personality, Chloe and Johny. Now, I don't usually cover these two, as I find Chloe the kind of entitled brat that I tend to avoid spending time with. But there's a good reason why I'm going to make an exception, and you'll see why in just a moment. Aruba, that delightful island of the Caribbean, with delightful white sand beaches. Did you know the white sand is predominantly made from parrotfish poop? Yes, indeed, this gorgeous fish, hello, can't digest calcium, so it poops sand. Delightful white sand that holidaymakers like to sit on. Terry, have you seen what the humans are sitting on? Which I guess isn't the strangest thing ever. Johnny's already dating a little shit, so, you know, it's all about perspective. And yes, I know what you're thinking, British fish be like, am I right? In our first not at all prearranged scene today, Michelle, Chloe's mum, has decided to go for a jog. Chloe has conveniently decided not to join them so they can have a really awkward conversation about Johnny's alleged infidelity.
I'm ready to go.
Wonderful. Let's go.
Let's go for it.
And you can tell when someone wants to appear like they have more class than they usually do because they start to use people's full names. In this case, Chloe is now calling Johny Jonathan. So what if his name also happens to be a nickname for a condom? I bet that's her mum's idea to try and sanitize him.
Now she's going to drill Jonathan.
Ugh, poor Johnny. But before they go, Chloe asked if they were going to do a 5k. as if Michelle is some kind of runner. Firstly, she calls it jogging, which tells you she hasn't run anywhere since about the 80s. Joggers these days like to call themselves runners and get all offended when you call it jogging. It's the same bloody thing in my mind. In fact, I'd say running is where you go full pelt and you make funny faces and you sometimes poop yourself. I wonder if the parrotfish likes to relax on it. But you can also see people claiming to be running that are going at walking speed but putting a lot of effort into the arms to look more busy. A little like those power walking people. Now that's unnecessary, isn't it? It just looks like you really need the toilet, but you waited just that little bit too long. Are you okay, Ted? Yep, I'm all good. Just power walking to the bathroom. So the editors get to work and try and make it look like they didn't just go 100 metres down the road. Here's them setting off, note the trees in the background. There's a hotel just out of shot to the right, but they've been careful not to frame it. Then we get some ooh look with running shots. They even cut to a shot where the cameraman's filming from his bike. You can even see his sleeve in the corner of it. Then back to them running. Ooh look, there's that hotel again. And a bit more running.
Very windy today, huh?
And after all that amazing running, jogging, whatever you want to call it, they happen upon a delightful part of the beach where Jonathan, totally just coincidentally wanted to take her. Oh look, there's that hotel still. Wow, they must have run for a whole 348.2 metres. You might think that's a surprisingly specific number. Well, if we check out the hotel we see in the background, Find out that it's actually this hotel here, which is the hotel they're actually staying in, the Azure Residences, or the Azure 525, not far from the sewage factory. The Water Waste Treatment Centre. Yeah, of course, yeah. But I wouldn't go swimming here. Ooh, what's all that stuff there? Nightmare. Anyway, so they walked down this bit, and then they ran all the way to here, where those divvy trees are. We can even see the car park they jumped past. And if we measure that distance, it's a whole 348.2 metres, which at an average pace would take them roughly 2.5 minutes. We know it's there because there's the little shop and the sign you see in the show. So, what's she got to say now they're there anyway?
So,
Good job. I'll take it from here, thanks Michelle. I think it's time we had a proper introduction. What do you think, my delightful viewer? Well, this is Michelle Rita Fabiano, or Michelle Rita Dustin, or Michelle Rita Marino, depending on who you are. Allow me to explain. Now, Michelle Fabiano, as stated in a LinkedIn profile, owns a company called Team Worldwide, which is a total red herring. According to some news sources, she had a PPP loan around the COVID times and had to sell a house because she's short on cash. Well, all that also is a maroon-coloured aquatic organism. Now, Team Worldwide, a logistics company that she says she owned, was based here, 419 Brenman Street, Boston. But there is not and never has been any companies registered in Boston by that name. Whoever said there was a $350,000 PPP loan must have been wrong. Why? Well, for one, she's never owned Team Worldwide. That's a Texan company owned by the Bus family since 1979. Now, this property is fairly interesting. Here it is in 2007, then again 2011, then again in 2015. And we can see this building is now boarded up. 2016, and those trailers have been there for a while. Those weeds have even grown a bit. 2017, 2018, 2019, and there's some fences put up, and those trailers have finally gone. 2020, and it looks like a building site. Then 21, 22, and then 2025. Well, that's unfortunate. It's been demolished. Now, I went through the entire PPP loan database, and there wasn't any loans attributed to Michelle, to her business partner Gerard, or any other businesses at that address. There are some logistics and cargo companies who had loans around the $350,000 mark, like Cargo, AB Logistics, Pioneer, or Everglory, but none of these businesses have anything to do with Michelle. The company that does have something to do with her is called American Freight Partners, Inc., which existed between 2003 and 2013. Well, that's rather like the same time we saw this site closing down. And she wasn't an owner as such. It was directed by a guy called Gerard Lynch, and she was listed as a clerk of the company. She was also listed as living there, but under her alias of Michelle Dustin. The site was taken over by a company called DeSanctis in 2013, which might explain why people think she went out of business. No, she just renamed the business to One World Logistics and moved it here. She also then started using the name Michelle Marino, as we see her doing with her property interests. And we see a pattern of what name she uses for which purposes. Marino is the name she uses for business, and Fabiano and Dustin for property. She also has links to Main Freight USA and Target Logistics, but not to this company where One World is based, Big T&D Trucking. She just operates her business from there, alongside her long-term business partner Gerard Lynch, who appears to be just an investor, as he has other businesses and things like the tech industry. So that whoop-de-doo business that she has is just an office, as the owners and officers of Big T&D, I believe that probably stands for Tits and Dicks Trucking, or BTD Holdings Corp, are brothers Dominic and Anthony Perillo and their friend Kevin.
Give this to Kevin.
Give this to Kevin.
Give this to Kevin. Kevin.
What? The line is give this to Kevin? I've always thought it was pass this to Kevin. Anyway, she's never owned a logistics business, she's only ever been listed as a clerk. But then after writing that, I found that she was actually part of the supply chain at Team Worldwide as of 2023. So she doesn't own it, she's just part of the chain. And if someone says that she lost her property, well, not really. She was listed as living in this dump but was never an owner. So someone saying that it was demolished this year may be forgiven for thinking that. And the fact that she's an employee and not an owner also explains why she couldn't afford to buy a small car in Aruba. But what about all this selling her house, I hear you cry in your beautiful accent of yours? Well, depending on what alias she's used, she has or does live in one of these 20 addresses linked to her. in Massachusetts, Florida, and Washington, D.C., including this lovely address here with a rather nice back garden, and this address in Massachusetts. Now, this was listed as a current address. However, it was owned by one Tacita Porter until October 2025, when she sold it. So again, if people know that she lived here, or have seen her address as being here, they might be forgiven that she thinks she sold it. But no, she didn't. Tacita sold it, not her. So, my beautiful personage, what have we learned from this little forensic dig? Well, Michelle, Fabiano, Dustin, Marino, whichever mask she tends to be wearing, has never owned Team Worldwide, never pocketed a $350,000 PPP loan, and never sold that house in Massachusetts. I do believe she's had 3 different husbands in the last 12 years, as with some of the addresses come men who are of her age range and the surnames she's adopted. But I can't verify that, it just seems a little obvious by the people named at the same properties that she's lived at. So, was it the case that she is a woman of many husbands and many businesses? She was a clerk, not a CEO, a tenant and not a landlord. And that supposed empire? Just an office and not a dynasty. And there were more red herrings than a fishmonger's Friday special. You just need to look beneath the layers of misdirection that have obscured the reality of her actual influence. And now we've untangled Michelle's aliases and business myths, it's time to return to Poop Beach to see what whatever her name is today is up to today.
You know, I'm glad we had this time alone without Chloe here.
Yeah.
You know, as I'm leaving tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, what a shame. Yeah, you'll be missed. But Johny exercises great integrity, even when Michelle bangs on about his cheating, even though he and Chloe weren't formally together yet, and Chloe had somewhat embellished the story.
I feel like Chloe should admit that she was also with somebody else.
Typical bratty little brat, telling mummy all about the big bad Johny, but all the time leaving out those gory little details, like that they were both docking in someone else's port at the same time. But he did it to her, apparently, so that's like 10 times as bad as the fact she was doing it too. And who do we have to blame for all this? Michelle, Fabiano, Dustin, Marino, that's who. The woman who enabled the bratty only child behavior that we see from Chloe.
You know, but I'm not a person that goes and tells her mom that, you know? I'm a person that, hey, you know what? Think what you want to think. I'm just going to try to show you that I'm a better person than that.
See, integrity. As I said in my last video, integrity is legacy. And she, well, yeah, she's awful, frankly. She decided to berate him because a lying brat told her a very particular version of events, and then goes on to patronize him a little bit more by saying,
Being a mom is
well, this should be good. I bet she was way too busy with Gerard and the 7,000 companies she's worked for to really give a crap about Chloe. Therefore, she uses her cash, or lack of it, to try and compensate for not being around. So, let's see what she thinks being a mother is, shall we?
you know, I take that job very seriously.
Bollocks. Absolute rubbish of the pants on fire variety. Mothering is, I take it very seriously. Nope, you take holding on to the one thing that hasn't left you in the last 12 years very seriously. So, Johny tries to put her at ease by saying that Chloe could get a job, then at least she'll be earning some money, and maybe that'd go a little way to making Michelle less unhappy. It does, incidentally, take about 6 to 12 weeks to get a work permit in Aruba, but you can't get a work permit without a residence permit, which takes 8 to 12 weeks. But, and this is a Manon-sized but, she can only be in the country for 90 days without a visa, or roughly 12 weeks. Given that she's already been there a few weeks, then the deadline wouldn't be very, very close. Plus the fact that if we look at this picture on her Instagram from 6 weeks ago, which was taken in the Lincoln Tavern in Boston, I'd say she couldn't and didn't do it. Check out those hate comments though. That's a little strong. So, seeing as we know that, let's bid Johny farewell. And we'll bid a yay, that's the last time we'll see these two poisoning our screens, to Michelle and Chloe. Before we move on to our next couple, please don't forget to give my little video a little like and a hype, and why not subscribe to the channel if you haven't already? Thank you in huge amounts. So let's climb into something less comfortable, shall we? And head over to see what Matthew and Norman are up to. There they are, totally not in Market Harbour. They are of course in Bicester, just up the road from His Majesty's Prison Bullingdon. Cut to me on the bench where they're sitting on. Thank you, me, and here I am in Market Harbour. Exactly, I'm not. I'm here in Oxford, a place called with this delightful pond. You're welcome, me. But it's not all peachy in the land of Matthew and Norman. She's feeling increasingly distant and hasn't felt the fireworks since she's been here in good old England band.
We did sleep together, but...
What? You're telling me that sexy time with Matthew, the super Studdington, wasn't the amazing orgasarama that we all thought it was going to be? No way! But I think we need more detail. Come on, Norman. Tell us how shit it was.
It, hasn't been...
It falls flat.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah, it was hard, but I don't think he knew what to do with it. Plus, her friend totally interrupted at the wrong time. Couldn't she have let her finish and not butted in with "it falls flat"? Yeah, maybe that was the issue, but I believe they do pumps for that sort of thing these days. Maybe Matthew could have let her finish too. Maybe that would have made it better. But that's not the only butt that's butting around.
But, you know.
What she meant was that she doesn't want a relationship that's, Matthew. She wants one that's got fireworks and passions and setting fire to her world. After all, she had more penetration from that pig that bit her last week. So I do believe the inevitable is coming. She'll be going back to Oklahoma, Matthew will continue to underwhelm the ladies, and then I'll be able to finally buy him a drink and do the interview that he'd said he'd do. What do you think, Norman? Is it that simple? Try not to say but.
It's honestly that simple. But...
Ooh, nearly. So now we're going to take a wee flight over to the land of the Frank, in Marseille, the delightful area in the south of France. Then wouldn't it be cool if I could drop the little man thing and appear where Anthony is in the next scene? Wow, you don't get that kind of super amazing list in other review channels, They tend to actually, stick to the show and not go messing around with maps and stuff about parrotfish poop. But if you've been here before, I've got the attention span of look, there's a Burger King. These are actually quite good in Europe. In France, they have the good and cheap meal. What's it like? Well, it's sort of good and cheap. Not delicious and cheap, it's, good enough and cheap enough. But you can in fact buy a beer in Burger King. But in Spain, they've even got Whopper wine. Ugh, can you imagine what kind of liquid horror show lurks in that bottle? Anyways, back to Manon and the Anthony segment. And following Anthony's less than successful attempt at making Manon happy with the goat farm last week, he's decided that he's going to drag a smile out of that face of hers by getting a job and not being such a tit. But instead of that, he decided to do the thing that all women yearn to see their man do when they're trying to add a bit of romance to the relationship. It's not flowers, it's not a day at the spa, it's not a delightful meal. It is, of course, mime. Well, what kind of idiot thinks that's a good idea?
C'est une très très bonne idée.
All right.
Ah, super.
Ah, the kind of idiot who thinks mime is a perfectly good career choice. Yeah, that's who. Oh, and Anthony as well, but I think we wrote him off the brains list a little while ago. So, why the hell did he choose being a mime? Well, when they moved to France, they had a running joke. In fact, the French have a delightful array of jokes. I'm sure you're dying to hear one. So, here's a French joke translated to English. Manu's mother just had a baby. Her cousin, visiting her, asks, "What's his name?" The mother replies, "We don't know, he can't talk yet." Well, they weren't good jokes, they just sort of have some. Here's another one. Daddy, why is the guy scaring the lady with his stick? He's not scaring her, he's the conductor. Then why is the lady shouting? Hoi, 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 hoi. Yeah, that's amazing, I'm sure you'll agree. Not as good, or sort of bad, depending on your perspective, as Chinese jokes. Steady yourself now. Here comes one. Do vampires like spicy food? No, they don't. Why? Because they like blood. Okay, yeah, I don't think they've quite got the hang of humour yet. Let's try one more, shall we? Xiao Ming and Xiao Hong were telling jokes at the seaside. Then they both died. How come? Because of the tsunami. Wow, that's a hell of a sense of humour they have there, isn't it? It's sort of observation humour, but sort of more observation and vastly less humour. Anyway.
For money, I could always just dress up as a mime, put a hat in front of me, and people can pay me for my miming skills.
Now, the French aren't renowned for their sense of humour, but I do believe this is what the French refer to as sarcasm, also known as a jokey moron. But to this genius, it's a great idea, and TLC probably set him up for the whole thing. So he's going to actually do it. So the poor mime lady has to go ahead and teach him some tricks of the trade.
Yes. Ooh.
Whoa, no way! He pulled out the old, oh no, I'm stuck in some glass trick. Well, don't I look like an idiot now, doubting him all this time when he's clearly very talented? Well, now I'm convinced of his skills, maybe he won't look a total wally doing this in public.
Both silly and romantic.
Not sure how romantic that is, and I'm not sure what his definition of romance is. Painting your face and pretending like you're stuck behind the glass, apparently. Maybe that's where Matthew was going wrong. A bit less glass and a bit more vagina next time, maybe.
Sort of the only job that I'm qualified for, not being able to speak French.
Everyone in France knows how to speak English. They teach them English so they can look at you with disdain and tell you how bad your French is. So, with the finishing touches of some makeup, a hat and a stripy top, Anthony's ready just in time for Manon and his son Ben. They'll be thrilled about this.
What the?
I'm not sure if she's most annoyed because he's having fun in public, which is illegal in France, or because he's just generally pretty shit at it, which I guess kind of proves that TLC didn't hire him for his acting prowess. But unfazed by her shrieking, which clearly means she's having a good time, he breaks out the big moves. He does a bit of the sort of box thing, a bit of whatever that is. I don't know what this is, an airplane, I guess, and then the whirlwindy sort of thing. And we thought it was a waste of time learning this stuff. I'm sure the mime grand mistress was very pleased with his efforts, but for Manon it was all just clowning arounding.
Doing the clown? Supposed to be
Whoa,
romantic?
whoa. Not a clown.
Yeah, it's kind of.
Mime.
Whoa, get it right there, Manon Unster. It's not that lowbrow clowning, thank you very much. This is like, art and stuff. In fact, most of the world only knows 4 French people. Napoleon, the short guy, Jean-Michel Jarre, that shit music guy, Gerard Depardieu, the nose guy, and Marcel Marceau, the mime guy. What was that? Was that a... Well, maybe Matthew could have taken some lessons from this guy after all. But Manon is not impressed and walks away in disgust, which is, the standard way to walk away in France.
You just don't get what I'm saying, it's fine.
Let's do another one of those cool globy swishy travel-y things, shall we? Because we need to head over to the other side of the world, to Launceston, in good old Tassie, for a wee camping trip with everybody's favourite Australia's Got Talent reject, Dylan and his auntie Pattaya. So Dylan's genius idea is to take the Dallas city girl and make her put up with a bunch of wildlife in the glorious landscape which is Tasmania. It is actually beautiful in Tassie. I've not been there myself, but I was talking to somebody in the comments about where they live, and it really is the most beautiful place. Hello to you if you're watching. Now, the most fun bit of this segment is when they see a Madelein.
Madelein.
Does he bite?
No. You can't go up to the scared away. Oh, there he goes.
I love how that producer says a marsupial smaller than a kangaroo. A kangaroo is, in fact, the biggest marsupial. So it's like saying the dog is an animal that's slightly smaller than an elephant. Wow, they're basically Attenborough at this point.
That's a frog, isn't it?
So Dylan's mum calls for like the 100th time. Pattaya gets a bit annoyed about it again. Dylan thinks it might be a deal breaker again. And we all wonder what the point of having him on the show is. So, with a huge sigh of relief, we take a spin over to Colombia to see what the Gelfling and Little Cock Lukey are up to. Well, they've got one of these geodesic domes near El Penal. Haha, Penal. See, it's quite nice, really. Shame these two have to come along and spoil the view. So today it's a competition to see who can fake cry in the most cringe-inducing way. First to play is Little Lukey, who's playing the whole "it's not you, it's me" routine, but with a twist.
Sometimes, I have, a little doubt in my mind about whether or not I'm the right person for you.
See, he says whether I'm the right person for you, not you're obnoxious spoiled brat and I've had enough of all this ridiculous bitching. So he's combined the weak-ass crying voice noise with a touch of victimhood. Well paid. But he's forgotten he's got a pro in his hands, and the Gelfling takes a turn. While you're down there. I think I'd score them both at 0. The worst acting I've seen since Anthony got stuck in a glass box. But I always think what makes a good cry more convincing is if there's a few tears. But Lukey's online to lose round 2, which is the boohoo I'm such a victim round. The Gelfling goes on about how her dad wasn't around and how her ex-boyfriends didn't give her enough attention. But she met Luke when she was like 16 or 17. Check out my video if you missed the deep dive on Lukey. So how many boyfriends has she had? And there are plenty of people I know who didn't have their dads around and they didn't turn out to be spoilt, difficult brats. Private school Lukey's parents broke up too. You don't see him using that as an excuse for his bad behaviour. Maybe he should just bring up the fact he was suspended for watching corn.
I'm not like the other men. I'm a good person. I'm a good guy.
All right then, yeah, I've got to stop with the bullshit now. I think we've all heard enough. Although I guess he's not a bad guy exactly. The whole getting with her when she's probably 16 is a bit of a foul ball, and his stupid business ideas are bad. Then I suppose that just sort of makes him an idiot, really, not a bad guy. And ultimately, his strategy of threatening to take away her money supply works, and she gives up.
Okay.
For now. Last port of call today is back in Blighty, and the good old land of the Ings. And we're back with Norman and the love titan that is Matthew. And it's all got a bit much for Norman, who, over the last 6 months, has realised that what she really needs is a good... And Matthew just isn't igniting her bushel, as she's tried her best to be the person he wants her to be, but is realising more and more that she's just not the woman she needs to be, which includes her being the stereotypical housewife type. Like tonight, she's cooking a meal, and to do so she needs potatoes. So she's trying to boil a massive potato whole. Did she not try and cut that down? Has she seen a potato before? Never mind, they've got a microwave, that'll do. And it's actually quite sad. These are one of the few couples who don't have a fidelity or a trust issue. It's genuinely about two people who built each other up so much in their minds, but ultimately the reality of being so close revealed that they're so far apart. So Norman tries to articulate her feelings in her own style.
But like, and like, but like, and like.
Allow me, Norman, my old mucker. When they were apart, love seemed infinite. It was carried in messages, in calls, in the quiet ache of a longing that made every memory shimmer brighter than it had been in reality. Distance gave them a gift of imagination, of filling the gaps with tenderness and hope. Yet when they stood side by side, the illusion dissolved. The silences grew heavier, the differences sharper, and the closeness they had dreamed of revealed just how far apart they truly were. It's a cruel truth of love that sometimes absence makes the heart grow fonder, while presence makes the heart grow wearier.
I don't think I love you anymore.
And that was the end of that episode. So what did we learn, ladies and gentlemen? Well, in the end, what all these stories remind us is that personality is not just a mask we wear, but the fragile bridge between who we are and how we are seen. Michelle built hers from names and addresses, Anthony from painted silence, Dylan from the shadow of a parent, and Matthew and Norman from the aching distance between love imagined and love lived. Each tried to shape reality into something more bearable, more beautiful, yet each revealed how easily those facades crack when tested by closeness, by truth, and by time. Perhaps that's the paradox of personality. It's both our shield and our prison, the thing that lets us connect and the thing that keeps us apart. And so, as we close, we are left with the thought that everyone has a personality, but not everyone has the freedom to live within it. And behind every mask, every mime, every alias lies the same truth. Personality is both our armour and our undoing. Oh, and parrotfish poop sand. Well then, that is indeed nearly it from me, but don't miss next week's episode where Anthony plays some more dress up.
She just loves the uniform.
Yeah!
Pattaya bites back.
I feel like you're a needy mother, Joe.
Chloe the brat gets a reality check about moving to Aruba, but I already mentioned that and nobody really cares, and Matthew still doesn't get it.
We just need to spend a little bit of time together again.
Thank you so much for being here with me today. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed creating it for you. It's always a massive pleasure to read your comments and hear your thoughts. I genuinely appreciate you. So if you like what I do, then please do like, subscribe, and check out one of these little beauties. So until we meet again, stay beautiful, love to my three, and you take care of yourself.
Please subscribe now for our class. Thank you.